Good. I will do them.
Hello. We are live. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not dead.
There we go. I always forget there's that like 10-second delay.
Oh, 10 to 45.
Yeah, you can change the settings.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I mean the delay of YouTube. You do YouTube channel, yeah. Do you really can change this delay or?
Yeah, you can make it like actually live. I mean, there'll still be like a 1-second delay regardless.
Yeah, okay, but it can be better than 45.
Yeah. I forget if you do it from YouTube or from OBS, or Zoom, depending on how you're doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I can do it from OBS, saying how much of a delay I want in the video.
Yeah,
I've never messed with the settings, so I know it's there. I just don't remember how to do it.
Maybe it's safer to have some delay so that there's no lag or no interruption if there's a large buffer. So do we have questions today?
Hello, everybody. I'm Tab Nation, Tom, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm Jean Lalonde, developer of Quick Access Popup.
And I'm Joe.
And Joe is Mr. AutoHotkey.
The Automator.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's doing well. Regarding questions, and let me go back and find them, but I had a couple people just, comment on videos asking for stuff. And I thought, hey, what a simple place to, have something to talk about.
Anything from the survey?
No.
Okay. And if anybody's watching this, in the description below, once this goes not live, but uploads, I'll put a survey that Joe made that just kind of like, maybe you're not able to watch, you're at work or something, but you do have a question, you can ask ahead of time, post your code if you have any. It's also good for us too, even if you are going to be watching, because then we can, especially if it's a complex like question, we can have some time to kind of look at it versus us staring live at some code in silence for a few minutes while we try to figure out what's going on. So it's a great survey to just take. It's like maybe like a minute at the most. Just type your question out, post your code, and push submit.
Yeah, depending on how complex your question is. Yeah, one was someone had asked, and unfortunately, apparently I solved it. Not solved it, because you'll laugh at when I tell you what it is. But they wanted an example of repetitively clicking the left mouse button. And I'm like,
it's a gamer.
Okay.
AutoHotkey.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean,
hi, Matt. We have Matt.
Hi.
Just joined us. Hi.
Hello.
Let's go, Matt. Matt, do you have anything you're working on?
Yeah, I've been kind of working on my YouTube thing for a while. Sorry, no, Zoom webinars. Trying to get figures in from those.
Sorry.
So I've got Zoom webinars that I'm trying to pull data out of using AutoHotkey based on a thing you've done in a previous seminar.
When you say data, what do you mean by data?
So things like the people that attended. So the organization I work for, people come to their webinars and they're trying to get like a user list and process some of the stats. And so I've got it, which I'm ultimately trying to bring into Power BI. But I've got it part way, but my AutoHotkey is still not brilliant. So I've kind of hit a couple of things I'm trying to get past.
Is something you want to share right now, and we'll look at it?
If that's okay. So how do I share?
On one of the Zoom windows, there will be a place to share. It's like a green box kind of in the middle of the toolbar, the bottom.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Is that big enough size, or should I increase the font?
I would just increase it a little bit in case people are watching on YouTube. They might not have it full screen.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's a bit too big now. So it's basically, I'm putting in the, obviously I'm not putting the JWT token there now, but token goes in there. At the moment I'm putting in meeting ID one at a time, and then it pulls it all out. It gives me a little preview in a message box and then saves it as a JSON file. But the two things I'd like to be able to do with it is, firstly, if there were more than 300 people at the session, or in fact, if there were more than 300 lines of data, then I'm getting cut off. And how do I make this into something that loops and pulls out the whole thing? And then secondly, is there a way of, rather than just putting in this meeting ID one at a time and saving it and rerunning it, what's the cleanest way for me to have a list of them in a CSV or in a text file or something, and it just to kind of pull through each one?
Yeah. So let me talk for a couple of minutes here, just to help, because I have a lot of experience in this, right? And most importantly, I already have the solution to what you're saying, so I'm not even going to try to walk through, because Jean, who actually led our webinar on a function calling itself, is what we have to do. But I already have the solution, so I'll find that here in a minute. But take a step back for those that aren't used to this. This is an API call, right? And Zoom, which is what I was so glad when you pulled this up. I'm like, boy, I thought you were looking at like the something with the text and the video, whatever. And I'm like, oh man, this is great. So people basically sign up, and then like what I do is I hit a button and it goes and pulls the registrants and their first and last name and their email address, and any other questions if I think so that you can grab if you have them asked what they're supposed to when they register. And it the thing is, you can get up to, like, think what you said, 300 people in one call, but if you have more than that, it would chop it. And so what you need to do is to basically, what I do is shrink it down to 100 and then say, hey, keep pulling this every 100 until it runs out, right? Which is, like I said, I'll find the code that I did that with. Now, the other question, sort of, I think that has more, which we can definitely work on. And I think it's just fine to at least work on that without having the loop part, because there's that meeting ID. So which you mentioned, I wish there were line numbers, but it doesn't really matter. That JWT underscore token private, you have this private. That's what you have to go, you find your private key, right? And that's what you use in your API call. And then you say, hey, go get me now there's dozens at least of, sometimes a lot more than that with the Zoom API. There's a lot of different methods you can call, right? This one that you're doing is getting people who have registered to a specific meeting, right? So what you could do is wrap the whole thing into a way where you feed it a list of meeting IDs. And then on that, what I would say is we'd probably want to embed into the responses the meeting ID that they were signed up for, right? So that'll probably tweak a little bit of what you're doing. But yeah, it's definitely doable, and that might save you if you said you have how many? A lot of meetings.
Yeah, I mean it varies from kind of month to month, but
okay,
yeah, it's the idea is for it to be quite a few. So
sure. Well, and now let's take a look here. So I see down the middle of the screen is your API call function, right? Yeah. And up, yeah, thank you. That's easier to read. So where are you oh, there you, that's right before it's where you're calling. Okay. Yeah. So up above, oh, you just have some examples of showing the URL. I'm
yeah, sorry. So I've got the token and the meeting ID in there, and then I mean, I could probably just do this in one line, but it's just a way of dropping the meeting ID into the middle of the URL that then gets called. So there's probably a simpler way of doing this, but that was how I did it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, And that's where you, and just FYI, so you have the page size equals 300, right? That's where you're, because it defaults to a lot less. And so you have it going up to 300.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's, you know, it really doesn't matter as far as it just means you do more calls if there's less than 300.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me, I don't know if the guys want to chat. Let me find my function that I'll put in the chat here, which has the recursive loop for pulling additional people.
When you're saying it defaults to less than 300, do you know what it defaults to?
I don't recall. Every API is different, you know, and what they have as their default value. And the max is also always different, you know, with what you can pull up to.
This one here, it actually only pulled through 56 people, but I think some of them must have had multiple lines or something.
Yeah, which also gets, of course, nearly impossible for us to do is to work on this and actually test it, because it'll have everyone's email address, you know, and stuff in there. So we don't want to be sharing that. So let me see.
Good call, Matt, on making sure you had that token set to private. We always forget to mention that sometimes, is make sure before you share your code, make sure there's no data you want out there, even if it's your name or something.
So let me share my screen here for a minute. Yeah, I can share. So I put this just because I have, like you, I have different meetings, right? And I didn't want to have to worry too much about each meeting. So this is my Zoom registrants function that's in my library. And here's how I have where the meeting ID, and I just have it all inside here, right? But there's the meeting and my token. Oh, and then I'm parsing it out. This is where I'm parsing it out to get exactly what I want from it. So I don't think you need necessarily all of that, but and I think what I do, which I can go back now to, I think if I go, just take me a second. This is the only one. When I call this, which actually I think I call it from APIs. So this is what I just used earlier to send the email to everyone that had signed up for tonight. And here we go. So Control I is what I use to import it into Excel. So this gets my token, and here's my meeting ID. Here's my loop, right? Like I said, I'll put this in the chat. But this loop loops over that Zoom registrants function that I mentioned, and it provides the API token, the meeting ID, and this is the next token you need for the next call. So if this is blank, I'm going from memory here. If this is blank, then you're done. So when you pull it out, if this doesn't have a next page token, then you've reached to the end of it. Just FYI. But yeah, I'll throw this in there. So I think that no, I don't think you want the Excel side. Let's see. So I think just this is what we need from here. So that's how, this is just a recursive calling of it. That's the big aha, if that makes sense. And I'm going to come back into here. I'm going to put that here for now. And But does that make sense as far as?
It makes some sense. My program is the only programming I've ever done really is in AHK. So in terms of my script, whereabouts should I be putting the bit you've just dropped in, if you see what I mean?
Well, you'll have to, honestly, I would just say, like, I don't know if you should even have you need your script, right? At least parts of it. But what I just put that stuff in the chat if you want to find that and save it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can try to adapt it and we can adapt it to yours, but it's just.
No, I'm happy to.
You want to share your screen again?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So I'm just trying to look.
What was that?
I'm just trying to kind of fly through what you actually.
Okay, your mic seems to come in and out for some reason.
What does it? Sorry. I don't know whether that's because I've got bad internet connection.
Well, here, and maybe you mentioned it, I just don't recall. When you grab the extract the information you want, what are you doing with it?
I'm saving it just as a JSON file.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. I think I tried to use this parse JSON thing, but I don't have the. I can't. Do you need? I was a bit. Wasn't quite sure what I was doing with it, and also I kind of my IT restrictions. I have quite a lot of IT restrictions so I can't install certain things. So which is why I do my AHK programming in Notepad because I can't. They don't want me installing device site and things. So
tried any portable versions of like Pad++? There's a portable version that usually gets around the IT blocks.
Well, Studio is AutoHotkey code. AHK Studio, the one I use, that's an AutoHotkey script, right?
Right.
Anyway.
So yeah. So if I was, because the other thing is that if it's in JSON format, I can quite easily filter out the other bits anyway, so I don't need that so much. So which bits would I?
Well, right, just to clarify, so on mine, see the OAHK parse JSON? Yeah. That takes the response, shoves it into an AutoHotkey object using that parse JSON function, right?
Right, okay.
And that's when I'm saying, okay, now, in the next couple lines for each registrant, go get their email address, their first name, their last name, and when they signed up, basically the create time. But it first creates an object for using their email address as the key, and then it shoves the other stuff in under it.
Right. Okay. So if I was to just wanted to bypass doing that, how far do I cut out that?
Well, you don't want to get rid of all that because the HTTP.response text, you need that, right? So that's the only bit that you need out of that. But that otherwise you can copy that and get rid of the rest of stuff, and that'll be the HTTP.response text. That'll be your JSON string that you will, however you want to parse it.
Right. Okay.
And you can get rid of the whole, if you don't want the parse JSON function, you don't need that. And I think there was something else down below that you can get rid of.
So down here.
Well, these are other functions used, right?
Yeah.
That parse JSON, if you're not going to use it, you can delete it.
Is that all the way down to there?
Yeah, and the object to string, I'm not sure why that's even in there, but I must have used it at some point.
Okay. And so then I just need to, so which bits of this? I know this is really basic.
It's all right. No, don't worry about it. But hey, we all learn, as we go. So http.response text, you can either just type or copy that. Just, well, you don't want the whole line, just the HTTP response. Yeah, so just that. I'd copy that, move it up one line, and then you can get rid of the other stuff inside the function beneath it. So that'll be that HTTP response text. Now you're going to want to store that in a variable, or you're going to want to do something with it, right? But that is what will have the JSON that gets returned.
Right. Okay. So
don't lose the close bracket.
That one.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
And so on mine, I'm on which screen are you still on the same screen you were before, or are you seeing mine?
We're seeing the one that you've been editing and we've been talking you through.
Oh, right. Okay. So I might need to change. I'm just trying to. So that I'm trying to see what I've called the same thing here, if you know what I mean.
I'm going to guess you don't have my screen clipping tool.
No.
I was going to say, because then we could look at them side by side, kind of,
Yeah.
But they're basically still the same thing now. I think it was Tea Drinker I saw. This is from him. He went about some things slightly different.
Yeah.
At the bottom of it, which there's no right and wrong answer, right? So don't get me wrong. He has a more complicated solution, I guess I would say.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure it works fine. But everything from the array where he's taken the response body instead of the response text, HTTP response text, he's using the response body and then putting it in an array, doing something with it. And yeah, I don't know why he's doing that, but he is, whatever. So that's a big difference between the two.
Right. Right. I mean, it does.
Yeah, I mean, what you could just do is you could go back to my other script and just copy the loop part that's near the top that
This bit here.
The recursive part.
Sorry, I stopped screen sharing. This part here.
Right. Yeah, that's where it's recursively calling. Now, the thing is, though, which I don't know. Oh, he does have a page token. Okay. There's on his HTTP. Oh no, that's mine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah. So if you don't have that already, you're going to have to adapt some of that as well. And you're also going to have to be able to parse getting that page token, right? Which without using that comma, the parse JSON object, that's going to be somewhat difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not wedded to his way of doing it at all. I guess it's just useful just to be able to take all I really want to say is to be able to just download the JSON library. So, I mean, perhaps I should just stick with yours.
Yeah, where it says it's about 3/4 of the way near the bottom, the att.next page token. That's where, I'm using that AHK, the parse JSON object to, easily grab that token. And so you're going to have to, if you're not using the parse JSON function, you're going to have to go through and find where that is in your JSON and identify it somehow, right? That's why. And I saw Chunji mention stir split is the cleanest. I don't know if I agree with the cleanest. It's definitely very fast but boy, depending on how complex your JSON string is, it could be tricky as well. But anyway, I love just this is what I love about it. I don't have to think about it. It takes the JSON string, puts it into AutoHotkey object, which I know fairly well how to access, and that's why I use it. Is I know there's more overhead, but I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you want, I don't know if it's after this call or later today or the weekend or something, if you want to ping me, because this is like almost impossible to do without running it to do some testing, and we can't, be showing all the stuff. So, or if you want to give it a try, and then let me know if you get stuck.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, but it's kind of funny. It's like, it's I already had all that. That's why I did it, because it was some of my meetings that were getting really big.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and Jean, like I said, mentioned he ran the webinar on recursive calling a function, which was a really interesting thing. And that was the big secret, the aha, is you have to be able to remember how to tell when you're kind of like done, when to stop calling, when you should call or when you should stop calling. And that's what that's doing with that token.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have anything else you're working on, or?
No, that's it for now. Thank you.
Yeah, you should be able to run AHK Studio without any problems, because it doesn't install anything. It does download a couple files, but not a lot, because you still need that editor, like the Scintilla editor.
Okay. And is it fairly easy to use?
Sorry, what?
Is it fairly easy to use?
There's a learning curve. Excuse me. It's why I tell people, when you're completely new, Cite for AutoHotkey is a great editor, because it's very straightforward and simple. Studio, there's no toolbars by default, and it just takes some time to learn. The Omni search is your friend, right? That's why I just tell people, is like, you hit Alt and O, and the Omni search opens up, and you can type like a fuzzy search and type what you're looking for. But it's a great, solid editor. I mean, I still, use it. That's all I use for programming in AutoHotkey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much for your help, everyone. Particularly to you, Joe. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's great having you.
Yeah, API calls are a lot of fun and amazing.
Once
you start using them, it's hard to disregard them.
Yeah, but it's one of those. Yeah, it's something I'm trying to learn, because I've got a lot of. I'm an analyst rather than a data engineer, so but all the data, all the data is all in different places, and there's nothing set up for getting hold of it other than copying, pasting and downloading everything manually, and I'm gradually trying to build up enough knowledge to be able to just go get it using APIs. But as I say, I'm starting more or less from scratch. So
now we did a really good webinar on API calls. I don't know if you've seen that. I thought it was a really good intro.
That's been really helpful. And been a big part of me getting to where I am. So
yeah, and I know Tom at one point talked about something about covering them, and I'm like, and what's nice is with the Zoom API, and this is where it gets a little, really, to me, more complicated because it's hard. I don't know if I can explain it clearly, but there's really kind of like two levels of OAuth. There's the OAuth 1, which is what the Zoom one that you and I were using. That's what you're using with that. You don't have this handshake first, and you don't have to constantly change it. Like once you get that token, it's the main token, not the one that I was saying changes on every load time you load it.
Yeah,
it stays the same, right? For other ones, like let's say with Facebook or LinkedIn or something, they will give you, you have to work through the OAuth 2.0, which is much more secure, but it's really designed much more for like cell phones and other things, right? Where people have devices, and it's for individuals and not necessarily for like a server connecting to it. It's for people's device. And for that one, you have to go and send something to log into it. Then they send something back to you. This is the handshake. And then you take that new information and then use that in your calls. And those, for whatever reason, each company does them differently, and they're infinitely more complex than what I just described, because they'll have all these programming terms of like, oh, you take the root of this, whatever. I mean, there's some of them. Amazon's Maestrith and I worked through their pricing one. This is like 4 years ago easily, but it was so complicated. Even for him, it took us like 4 hours. We kind of gave up, but he was so stubborn, he wouldn't give up, So we were like, it's just not worth it. But like, we kept nudging ahead, and we finally got it. But man, it was a bear. So anyway, this is where it's like every one of them's different, right? So when you're dealing with the OAuth 2, I'm like, it can be much harder. The OAuth 1 though, and a lot of them don't have that. A lot of them still have this OAuth 1 that you can use for your thing, and it's so much simpler to do.
Yeah, well, hopefully most of them will be that then.
Right. So does thanks, Matt, for
right. Well, thank you. It's been really helpful. Thank you.
You definitely came to the right guy. Joe's like the king of API stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things where I'm like, hey, I'm decent. I wish that's where Tank, his background knowledge of this kind of stuff is immense. And it was also great, even with Raptor X, to talk through like a lot of the stuff I figured out, but I don't, it's like learning from the forum, some, stuff, and you're not actually trained in it. And so you kind of make up your own words at times, and you can get it to work. But it's been some good calls with both Tank and Raptor X to talk through what it is, and the complexities of some things. Of like, we did one on the submitting form data, and that was like, it was really great having Raptor X explain some of the things, because that stuff was complex.
Yeah, I mean, it all seems complex to me, so but I'm learning. That's the important thing. So
right. Well, and that's the thing, is you baby step it now. And also I'd say is, which it sounds like you got a good handle on, of you pick and choose, you automate what you can, and then do 90% of the work, get it done. And then next time through, you automate a little bit more of it. And over time, you'll get to where you're like, suddenly you got more and more time where you can spend a lot more of your time automating. But this stuff, it drives me nuts. The people on a regular day, they spend so much time manually doing the same things. And I'm like, look, with a little bit of time, you can automate that, and it's so much simpler and easier.
Absolutely.
Right.
I've automated something that will literally take me only a few seconds to do manually, but when you sit there and do the math and it's like, well, I'm doing this, 100 times a day over a year,
Absolutely.
2 seconds, hey,
Right.
it adds up to
Yeah.
hundreds of hours, if not more. So like, I tell people like seconds can matter depending how much you're doing it. Like it's
Well,
crazy to do the math,
yeah.
how
Yeah.
fast the numbers can add up.
And elaborate, not elaborate, but you can extend on that to say also, often it's not even just for you, it's for other people as well, right? And that when you really start saying like, oh, okay, not only am I doing it several times, an hour, I have a whole group of people who are also doing it, and it saves them time. And the other two factors, the ones that come to mind, are more often than not, even let's say you broke even, which is rarely the case to me. I'm usually way ahead when I automate something. I will later use that same code or use the approach I did and borrow from it. So the time I spent there, next time it's so much easier because I kind of solved it already. It's easy to adapt. But yeah, that's the big one to me, is just like, it's easy to think, well, I won't save you time here, but you both learn from it, and then you get to keep reusing it or borrowing from it later.
Yeah, it's building that learning journey, isn't it? That otherwise you'd be like.
And even if you're like what you were just saying, Joe, about breaking even, I like you said, I don't think I've ever really had that happen, but I'm thinking like, let's say I did write a program where it does a bunch of stuff, kind of takes control of my computer, and it takes me 10 minutes to do it manually, but then AutoHotkey also takes 10 minutes to do it. Well, hey, that's still nice for me, because even though it's taking the same amount of time, I can just, sit there and at least with the 10 minutes, I'm not typing or anything. So, hey, it's good on my hands. And I don't know, I can check my text messages during that 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Jean, did you have any updates for your, didn't you also mention something else you were working on? Was that something you're going to share today?
We can't hear you.
Okay, excuse me.
There you are.
Yeah. Yes, I was working on a small timer, just doing some tests now, and it's not fully working. So maybe I could show it to you a little later if we take some other call or issue. But it's a timer, the Pomodoro technique that says that you work 25 minutes and you should take a break for 5 minutes. So it's good to have a timer to remind you these 25 minutes sessions. And I looked at some timer existing. What I didn't like is that they interrupt your work. So if you're in the middle of writing something, there's a window that will pop up, tell you you should take a break. So it interrupts your work. So I made one very simple, not many feature, but what it does, when it's the time, the 25 minutes, or else if you choose a different delay, the window will just appear but not being activated. So what you're typing will continue to be typed in the editor you're working on or the application you use, and it will just not really pop up, but just being shown but not being active. So that's the thing I wanted to do. So what I added after that is, because it's just showing without interrupting your work, you just don't see it if you're very concentrated on what you're doing. So I'm doing some bells and whistles just to grab the attention on this small window that is on the bottom right of the window. So I was just moving files around, and now it's not working because there's a file not found in the script. So it's something I can fix really easily. So if we have other questions, or Tom, if you have something, we could just continue on something else, and I'll let you know in a few minutes.
And maybe this is part of the quote bells and whistles, excuse the pun, but did you consider having an audio sound play?
There is one. Yeah.
Okay.
And I will show it to you. There you can define the notes that you want to play. So the notes are configurable. So it can be get up, stand up, the Bob Marley tune. So because you have to stand up, you got to do just having fun. Yeah, it's just having fun. So give me a few minutes and I'll be back to you.
But yeah, actually, I'd like to chime now. It's not exactly that, but you could still use the concept in the same way. I'm a big believer, in the and I forget the axiom on it, but it's the time you needed to complete a project expands incredibly depending on, when you set your limits, right? So force yourself on the stuff you're working on to say, I'm going to give myself X amount of time on this thing. And because if you don't, it can just go on and on and on. And having a timer like the thing that Sean's mentioning, still like 25 minutes, right? You give yourself a timer that's, not hours and hours, and it'll help limit you, because it's otherwise. And the other crazy part is your brain will actually adapt, and it'll force it to work much faster when you realize there's a limited amount of time to work on something, right? And that's the big kind of a plus out of that. I do have a couple. Let me share my screen just for concept wise. It's not done. It's not something I was really planning on sharing with like putting it out there. But let me bring up Studio first. So as you guys probably know, I have an email newsletter, and a lot of people put in really interesting stuff as for an email address sometimes. So right now I manually, I do API calls to go and pull the list of the new people who've signed up. And then I look at each one, and actually, let me see here. Yeah, here we go. So here are some of these are some of the things that are typed in a lot. And when I see these, I'm like, clearly, hopefully nobody has fake in their email address, but any of these words, what I have two levels right now. So I'm creating an algorithm. Before I would just flag them, and then I would manually review them and decide if I want to keep it or not. But what I've done is I've put together a list of bad terms and then questionable terms. And I did that because I want to assign a weighting. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating this email algorithm score. And if it's beyond a certain, like, let's say it's 25, and I say that because in this first group, the bad terms, I loop over them, and if it finds any of those bad terms, for each one of them, it's going to apply a 25 to my score. So as it loops over these things, it loops over an email address, checking for each one of these words, and then says, okay, if any of those, keep adding to it to 25, and then I do it again for the questionable terms. And this time I'm adding a 2, and this is all fluid. I'm just playing around with it right now. But there's a lot of people who put in, they'll type DSF, DSD, whatever. And so I'm building an algorithm. So these two things are done, these are working, but then I have other ones where people write, like, I noticed, hey, there's often they'll repeat characters over and over and over. So I was thinking I would have used a regular expression, but this script, now I'm going to put them all together, but this one goes through and gives me a count of each letter and then how many had the highest. So there was one character had 6 instances, it was the O, but this way, that object, which you saw right here, the letter object at highest, right? I can just get the highest and say, okay, oh, you know what, 6, that's a lot of, letters that are the same ones. So I got that. And then there's the repeat characters, which this one shows me so the O there were 5 repeated O's. So it's, I think anything, if I have more than like 3, I'm going to assign a weighting to it. So I'm taking each of these things, I'm going to put them all together into one, adding to that score. And then anything over a certain threshold, let's say it's 50, I don't know what it is. Anything that's over a certain threshold, I'm just going to automatically remove them. Anything, under like a 5, I'll probably say absolutely, I don't want to see it, right? And then there's some gray area in between where I'll manually review those. So hopefully it should speed up my process, because it takes me about 30 minutes each week to review the new additions, and it's just painful. So this should hopefully help. And of course, I have a regular expression to check it's a valid email address. And even then, after that, I use an API call to go and try to verify the email address, but that costs money. So I want to remove as much as it before that step as I can.
That's awesome. This is probably my favorite script ever. Either it's a fake email or it's a 14-year-old kid making an email address.
Right. Yeah. It's and for those of you, I don't know who will ever see this, but when they put in the what? Oh yeah, sorry. When they put in some nasty stuff sometimes, and I'm like, you know what? Some of these guys, I go and just block them from my website. So if you want to get blocked from my website, I get if you don't want to give me your email address, that's your prerogative. But to start swearing and I'll get like "fuck you, Joe" a lot. I'm like, that's lovely. So yeah, you get blocked from my site. Anyway,
that's hilarious. It's sad you had to write this script, but it's still funny.
Yeah, I knew it was bad, but the more I started going through them, and I have like around 5,000 email addresses now in the newsletter, which is great. It's been going awesome, but it's just it's painful. It's always one of these when I'm like, okay, I finished the newsletter. I'm like, okay, let me go pull the list, and it goes and adds the new stuff to it, and it's just always not a fun experience on some of them. You're like, yeah. I mean, I think it's a mindset for some people. You should be doing this for free. Like, why should I have to give you my email address? The nerve of you. Anyway, whatever.
What do you use to send it?
Mailgun, and they have an API, and so I use Mailgun, and that's the other one is I get blacklisted every week just because they'll be what are they called? Spam traps. There's another term for it. But and I get a list of this and that. But what's nice about it is Mailgun has a suppression list, and they have great API calls, and so I go and check and make sure that like these new email addresses also first aren't on my suppression list. If they are, then it doesn't check it. But it tracks it all for me, and I can track open and click through rates. However, I turned that off recently just because I like it. Just didn't seem to really help much in the sense of it was nice seeing how many open and click rates are sad, but it's hard to explain. But when I turned off the click through rate metrics, what I realized is when I sent an email like in Gmail, you could see at the bottom all the videos. Like Gmail automatically puts them as they sort of look like attachments. Yeah. And when I used the tracking, it didn't do that, and I kind of like having that there. So I decided to turn off the tracking. But what's also cool is I can add tags to the stuff, and every email. Like if I write an email, and I closed Outlook. Let me. But they have a SMTP server as well. So when I send an email through Outlook from the Automator, you'll notice when this comes in that it'll have the unsubscribe on it, which I think is really cool. So that way, anyone, no matter what I'm doing, there's always an unsubscribe, which I just like giving the people an option. If they're tired of hearing from me, they can unsubscribe, and
that's a legal thing in the UK and EU.
Well, but this is even just a one-to-one, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think you need that for a one-to-one, do you?
No.
Okay. So see, but anyway, I sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just. It's nice. Like I said, I like it as hey, I don't care whether I'm sending in bulk or individually. If someone is tired, they can just hit this and they get unsubscribed from. Granted, the topic would be that tag, right? So if it wouldn't be that common, but the all emails, that'll opt them out.
That's good to know, Matt, though, I never would have thought about that being a legal thing. I'm sure it's many countries that have something like that. I'm not even sure.
Well, yeah, it's just it's if it's marketing, then
yeah, that's good to know, though.
There's protection thingy.
Because obviously our audience is pretty global. I got 30 countries regularly checking out my videos, so something I guess you don't really think of from that point of view sometimes is, you know, what's legal in some countries and not.
Yeah.
Right on the YouTube page. Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, when at TI, that's where I used to send over 1 million emails a month. So I got to be a pretty good email expert. And the other stuff with Mailgun is you can add the SPF records, the DKIM record, the DARC record, and then there was a new one that I added as well. But it's all stuff that helps increase the odds of when you send your emails that actually gets into the inbox.
So is that because do you not? So why do you not? You know, the thing the program you're just showing is where you're saying it's spending half an hour filtering out the dead emails. Is there a reason why you don't just use the kind of bounce report from your email server? I guess it must be.
Well, because you'll get flagged as spam, you know, when you send more to bad email addresses, like that counts against you as well.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Jean, did you get your thing working?
Yeah, there's a question about your clipping tool on the chat.
Oh, sorry, guys. I was blabbering on. I wasn't looking at the chat.
Sometimes I have a quarter circle in the bottom right corner of the image created by the tool.
What?
Yeah, it's one tick who wrote that.
Quarter circle in the bottom right. No idea what. No, I've never
seen it. I'm using this tool and I've never seen something like this.
Which tool is this for?
The win clipping tool, the Windows clipping tool.
Screen clipping, yeah.
The person able to, if they're watching, take a screenshot and just put it onto, you know, some sharing thing and just send us the link. Yeah, because I'm not sure what that really means.
No, I've never. I can't even think of what that would possibly be. The only thing that pops in my mind is there's some other program that is conflicting with the hotkey and it's getting triggered, but why wouldn't it be all the time? So I don't know.
What's that website called? Oh yeah, if they can upload a picture to imgur.com, it's like kind of like Pastebin, but for pictures. You could just upload a picture for free and then send the link over. Visuals are always better with something like that.
Or join Zoom and share your screen. It's another
option.
option.
Oh yeah, or Zoom.
There's a Zoom link
I forgot we have
a little above in the chat, in the YouTube chat. There's a Zoom link there near the top.
Yeah, I should probably share that onto my chat. There we go.
I could take a few minutes to show my timer tool if you wish.
Oh, excellent.
And I can interrupt if you receive something from one click. There we go. So I'll just running. So you see at the bottom right, I cannot enlarge this little pop-up here, but you see a next pause 25 minutes. So I'll change it to 1 because I want to make it shorter. And I just changed my script just to do 20, not to do minutes, but seconds. So if I put 5 in 5 seconds, which would normally be 5 minutes, there will be this window will pop up again, telling me that I should take a break. So I clicked the go button, and now it appears with some literally bells and whistles to grab our attention. So I was not doing anything, so I'll do it again now. So for 5 seconds, and I will work on my window here. And what you will see is that when the pop-ups, I don't lose the focus. I can continue to work on my editor. With some timers, they will pop up and they will take the focus. So if you were typing something, what you type will be suddenly typed to this pop-up instead of your window. So that's the main feature I wanted for the script, giving me a reason to do this script for myself. And so the way to do it is, so this here is building this little pop-up window. There's also some tray menu features, so you can also note the number of minutes remaining by mouse overing this icon here, and this icon will also move when the bell is ringing. And there's a sound that maybe we don't hear when we are sharing on Zoom, but there's also a sound. So what it does, it starts when you click go here, it starts the timer. It will hide this window here and start a loop that will wait for a given number of minutes. So let's say 25 normally. It will sleep for, normally it will sleep here for 60,000 milliseconds, which is 1 minute. So it will loop this for 25 minutes. I'll return to 1 second.
I really like your set timers label.
Which one?
Nag.
Nag, yes. So when the delay expires, it will show the GUI here, but with this option that I've never used before, the option no activate. Then it will set the X and Y location. So I want it to be close to the bottom right of the window. So it looks at the size of the monitor. So that's something that is not necessarily required, but it allows to position this here. But the important option is no activate. So it makes this window appear, but not being activated. But if it's not active and just appear, it will be hidden by the window I'm working on. So the next step is to make this window always on top. So then it becomes visible without being active because it's always on top, but not having the focus. So I can continue to work when this window appears. And then I'm starting a timer here with an interval that is configurable. I think it's 1 minute by default. Yeah, it's 1 minute here. And this will loop given number of times. So it will nag for number of time 5 times. So every minute it will, so if I continue to work, because what you're doing is so interesting that you don't want to take a break, but you know you should take a break. So you continue at least for a few minutes and you will have this bell and the sound that will play every minute just to remind you that you should stand up. So that's what it is. The funny thing also is something I developed for quick access pop-up, is a way to play sound where you can configure the notes that will be played and the duration of these notes. So for example, here there's the sound for ET. So I will just uncomment this here. So here, so for 450 milliseconds, play the note at frequency 586. I don't remember if it's a C, A, B, or which note it is, but so 2, 2, 2, 2. This one is longer, 2, and is lower, 2, 2.
I hate to burst your bubble, Jean, but that's the Close Encounters Third Kind theme, not the ET.
Oh, not ET. Oh, yeah. Okay. So bad memory. Yeah, Close Encounter.
I'm amazed.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how many younger people have seen that movie. It's an oldie.
Yeah, it's a, and so this one is Get Up, Stand Up from Bob Marley. To do. So that's just to have fun, and you can change the tempo or the pitch, and it will be played by this little.
That's cool, man.
Routine here that will parse this. This I will just bring the string here to.
So I have a way of how I convert songs into AutoHotkey scripts. I was wondering how you're doing it. How do you get the notes yourself?
Oh, I'm just. I found a score for Get Up, Stand Up, and then I have a page that gives for a web page that I could show you that gives every frequency for every note.
Okay.
So you just so it's very manual work. And
I
the
actually
duration, you figure that you know, 5. I'm not familiar with the English terms for une portée in French. So you know, four black notes. It's a given number of milliseconds that you split here with these numbers here. So it will split this for each section that is between the vertical bar. It will split this in 2, and by using string split that our friends did that you really like, I'm using it often. So it will split what is at the left of the ampersand will be the duration, what is on the right will be the note, and sound beat will be used with these 2 parameters multiplied by the pitch. So it allows to change the octave, I don't know in English, and this one with the tempo here will allow to make the song slower or faster depending on the value of this number here.
I was just asking because you're saying it's very manual work. I actually did a video about 2 weeks ago where I show you how to actually take a song, and then AutoHotkeys will actually run and get all that information and spit out the code for you automatically in about 1 second. So that might be something that could help you out, instead of doing it all manually.
Is it easy to show? Is it easy to show it now if you can?
Yeah.
Unless we have other questions, but I would be interested.
Let me find it.
Yeah, and doing things live is not always easy when you're not prepared for that.
Yeah, if you're not.
Except Joe. Joe is very good at anything live.
That's why he runs this. He runs the show.
Yeah, but it helps having other people that can actually talk while you try to figure stuff out.
To make something work.
Well, we're just the fillers here. Let me why can't I show just my desktop? Oh, screen 1. There it is. I was reading it incorrectly.
For after, there's Brian Bills that has a question that we could look at after.
So basically what I'm doing here is, hold on, let me organize here. Got so many tabs open. So I'm using, back in the day, you had like Nokia phones. So they had basically kind of like sound beeps for ringtones where it would play like beep, 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 beep. So I found this website. They're called RTTL files. And as you can see here, there's over 10,000 songs that you can choose from. Word of warning. This one is 10,000 songs in this one file. It's a zip file. When you go to unzip it, make sure you do unzip it into a folder. And don't be an idiot like me who unzipped it straight to my desktop by accident and it froze up my computer for about an hour. And then I had to sit there and manually delete everything. That sucked. So
there's no undo
word
for
of
that.
warning on that. Yeah, you just download these songs and let me download the small one here. So, you know, even that 10,001, it'll download so fast because these little ringtones are so small. So yeah, definitely make a folder. Let me unzip that just so you can kind of see what they look like. Where are we? Desktop. So it unzips pretty fast. So here's all the files. They come out as BAS files in the end. So you got like the A team right here. So we can open that into, we'll just open in Notepad for now. Or no, where's open with? That's weird. Yeah, whatever. And so right away you get like the tune right here with all the information you need. So I don't remember what, I think the $sign means like what note it is into like a media file, an IDI file, if I remember correctly. And then what I do is I have a script right here that actually someone else made right here, this guy. So shout out to him if he ever sees this. And you just copy the script down. And when it runs, It's pretty long, so I'm not really going to explain exactly what's going on in here, but it's converting it to sound beeps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have the script ready to go, so give me a second here.
Yeah, but I get the point. So it will translate the syntax of the BAS file to sound beep.
So here's what you get.
AutoHotkey
You
commands.
get a little thing just saying to put the file path into here and then push OK.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to spit out something that looks like what we know and love in AutoHotkeys, which would be. So here's like the Mission Impossible song. So you could clean this up a little bit, but he does it. He has it spit it out line by line. So this does like the Mission Impossible. It auto adds the sleeps where they need to be, and it sounds really good. Actually, I'll play it right now. Hopefully,
if you stop sharing and when you go to share, if you select the box to share system sound, then we'll be able to hear it.
Yep. New share. Where's that going to be? I've never. Oh, share sound.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's funny how it's easy to miss.
So.
That's hilarious.
So as you see, like, even with me not being prepared to show you that, like, it was very simple, very fast to do. You know, now that I have it ready, I can convert any of these songs really quick. And it's crazy how many songs, over 10,000 songs. I mean, even some pretty new ones I was surprised by. But yeah, I have a video kind of explaining a little more in depth of what's going on there. But yeah, hopefully that kind of helps you out. And you can obviously cut out parts of the songs you want, because that one was kind of long. Maybe you just kind of want the do-do-do, and that's it.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, and the frequency are there. And the duration, yeah,
it was really cool. I just stumbled across that one day. So shout out to that guy. He, you know, wrote the few thousand lines of code to convert everything, so I didn't have to.
I put the link in the YouTube chat for the for the forum, the sound melody thing. Very interesting.
It's really cool. I had a lot of fun with it, but like I said, warning. Unzip it into an actual folder, and don't be like me and unzip it to my desktop and have 10,000 icons on your desktop. Which shouldn't be something I have to do. It should have been zipped that way in the first place, but I wasn't thinking of checking before I did it.
Yeah, you expect it to be in subfolders.
Yeah, normally it is set that way up, so something like that doesn't happen, but oh well.
Awesome. Well, does anyone have anything else?
Let me check my chat.
I know, Jean, before you said you had to run. Are you good on time?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, it was canceled what I had. Yeah.
Okay. By the way, and I don't know if you guys remember, last Friday I was not feeling well. I spent all week in bed and just slept. I've had some sort of flu, and I'm starting to feel better today, but I was still waking up last night with chills and sweats, and yeah, it's been a long week.
You replied to Brian about splitting values in multiple line in different vars, different variables. We could make a little demonstration of that. If Brian cannot join us, you could look at it.
Well, and of course it's going to be highly variant on depending on the file you're reading and how the text that you have, right? How are you going to grab? I mean, that's where, and if you're not aware of them, the any read and write, right? Like it's built into AutoHotkey. It's so simple, and it gives you the key value pairs, easy way to store them. Jean, you work with them a lot, right? Is that something you can demo easily? I've used them. I just don't do them that often.
To do what? Excuse me, exactly?
To have an example of using the any read and write.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think he, unless I missed it, I don't think he mentioned the type of file where he wants to go and get.
But I imagine it's a text file that has multiple lines, and you want to have each line of the text file to different variables.
Okay.
Or maybe
that's what I'm saying is there's 8 million.
It depends.
Right.
But maybe Brian, you could just elaborate a little bit on the source of your multiple lines.
Looks like we have someone also about to join the chat on Zoom.
Oh, I think it's Matt who just left. He said that he had to jump off. And we have one tick that would share his screen, joining us on Zoom.
I got a chat bot block. Never had a chat bot before come in and start spamming me.
I see it.
Brian said regular text, but we need to know a better. What in the world? I'm sorry, I was looking at something. A better explanation of the file you're going to be reading. How's the data stored? Is it a CSV file, comma separated value, tab delimited file, each line a new thing? Is it each line you want to store as a variable, which to me would be weird if the whole thing is that way, but maybe it is.
So what I'm trying to do is I create a video, not video, but PowerPoint presentation every week.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out the best way to be able to pull it in back into the form if I need to edit stuff before I make the PDF, because I use the outline capabilities of PowerPoint. Is there an easy way to put it back into the form that I'm making, so I don't have to redo everything just to change one or two of the different lines? Because each one of the lines turns into its own slide.
Sorry, I'm not quite following. Can we slow it down just a bit? So you're saying you
Okay, so every week for my graphics, I use PowerPoint. I want to be able to change one slide easily without having to change everything, or we create a new outline.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Is there an easy way to do that where I can pull it back into that form after I make that document?
That's where I'm getting confused though. How do you know what you're changing?
I have the GUI form that I'm trying to pull everything back into. When I save it, it saves it in one straight text document. But if I'm wanting to change something, I have to go back through and create the whole document.
Is this something you can show us, like an example? I think that would help me a lot. I'm having now. The first thing I will say is PowerPoint has a COM object, so you can do a lot of great stuff with the COM object in PowerPoint.
All right, I'll look into COM objects. Unfortunately, I can't show you it right now. I'm on my Chromebook, not my laptop.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm just trying to visualize what you're doing and how you know exactly, like, this part that you changed. I'm just not because I don't think I've ever done anything like what you're doing, so I'm having a hard time envisioning really what you're doing.
All right.
But yeah, the COM object allows you to program, and I can, well, you can find them on the forum. There'll be examples, but let me see if I have a working example of the with PowerPoint, because I know I've done a little bit in PowerPoint, but you can basically get the list of objects, list of all text objects, you know, and then loop over them and get the individual things from them and manipulate them how you would like to. But that might be more than what you're needing here.
Hey, Joe, I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
For your survey thing, for where people can ask, can they upload images or video too?
I think so.
Because that would be probably pretty helpful sometimes, you know, that way we could see screenshots, not just your code.
Yeah. Did you post?
That would be very helpful in a situation like this for Frank. I mean, if anything, they could always use, you know, a upload site like I put in my chat here and just link it into the comments, I guess, technically.
No, I don't. At least I don't have it built into it. I just went to the URL, which I just put in the YouTube chat, but it's you can upload text files. I'd have to go back and I think that's an option I can have. But yeah, I would just say it's just email me a picture of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't used PowerPoint in probably like 10 to 15 years. I've been going over to Google Drive for whatever their version is called.
So let me, I'll share my screen. And I saw, no, okay, I thought we had one more person join.
We have Joshua Bills.
Oh, okay, yeah, so I was getting confused here. Okay, so. Yeah, Joshua.
One tick.
Michelle,
whatever.
right. With us. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway,
we do not see your screen yet.
Frank is one tick.
Oh, thank you, Sean.
He says, do you see my screen? So you want to share? Is sharing?
Hey, I see myself.
I think I just might have
got some inception going on.
Overwrote, you know, took control. Let's see here. So get text and links from PowerPoint. Here's but this is the PowerPoint COM object. And I'm storing, I connect to, so I'm activate, so I'm connecting to it. And then that looks wrong. I know it can't end in that, so that would be a problem. But anyway, this is an idea. I'd just say go to the forum and see. But this is, I'm looping over each slide, going over each shape. And then if it has text, getting the text and storing it into the text appending them with dashes in between and the new line. But yeah, to give you an idea. But it's you know, the thing is, you have to go study the COM object methods and properties that are available on Microsoft's website to really kind of do it, or find something in the forum where someone, or Stack Overflow or somewhere where someone's already worked with it.
Joe, we have Frank who would like to share his screen.
Yeah, okay, you can go ahead and share it now. I see you're putting it on your webcam, but if you want to share your screen now, we can. Yeah, I think he said he doesn't have a mic, so we shouldn't expect him to say anything. Okay. But I didn't see any. I'm assuming he also agrees. He didn't see any of the weirdness.
We see from the thumbnail that maybe his camera is on the screen, but he's not sharing his screen using.
Yeah, well, but we can still see it, so I think it's fine.
Oh, it's too small for me. I don't know how you can see it.
Oh, just
I see you big, and you do the little thumbnails at the top.
I'm looking at it on YouTube, so it's much bigger. but I still don't see any weird half circle, I think is what he had mentioned before.
Mhm.
Okay, I see that there. I don't know what that, I've never seen anything like that.
Sorry, I had a door salesman.
Those
Like,
still-
sorry, I'm in a meeting. Bye. Close the door.
Yeah, I don't know, Frank, what, or what was it? One tick. I don't know where in the world that would be coming from. I've never seen anything like that.
And when does it appear?
Just every once in a while, apparently it's
not there. What I see now.
He's not able to share his screen. I don't know if I missed that part.
Yeah, you can
well,
look at
he's
it
just-
on YouTube. You can.
Yeah, if you look at his thumbnail, you can see he's using it's probably a virtual camera, and so he's just sharing his desktop as the web camera.
Maybe if we close our camera, the three of us, we will see only his thumbnail.
I don't. Well, you can try. Yeah, I don't think it changes that.
Where's his thumbnail?
It's on his webcam.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing his webcam.
On Zoom, if you look at the
Oh,
thumbnails at the top,
I'm looking at the wrong. I'm looking at the wrong.
On
screen.
Zoom, it's
I
very
see.
small, but if you look on
I see it. Yeah.
on YouTube, and if you close your camera, Joe and Tom, we will see his full screen.
No, I don't think so. I mean, mine doesn't change, but it just.
Yeah, when I close mine, but you have to wait the delay before looking at the result.
Well, I can see his full screen. You can change the view in Zoom and which one you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what I can see his thing.
Okay, so now it's full screen.
There it goes.
Yeah, he's got it.
So we have this quarter of circle that appears. That's the issue.
I have never. Oh, and I actually saw.
Oh, I see what's going on. It's something with your mouse setting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's something where when you let go, you have a setting on your Windows computer that when you do something to highlight where the mouse position is, and the capture's going so fast that it's sometimes capturing it.
Yeah.
So you might need to add some type of like very small delay.
Yeah, good catch, Tom.
Because I've had that before. When I first started recording my videos, I had the same setting under my mouse settings in the OS, where every time I let go, it would do that little bing, letting me know where my mouse was, because it was so easy to lose my mouse sometimes when I was recording. I'm not sure where you would need to put the sleep. Joe would know a little better than that. Or just get rid of that setting if you don't really care about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to go study. I don't know. I haven't actually worked on that script in eons, so.
But Frank, if you could go to your Windows settings for the mouse, maybe we could just remove an option there and see if it solves the issue, so you would know that's the source of this circle.
This is my kitty.
Hello. Oh.
Likes to walk on my keyboard.
Yeah.
I let her write my regexes. I just throw on the keyboard and go, there's regex.
That was actually one of the first scripts I wrote. I called it the toddler keyboard, because my son at the time was so young, he'd come up and want to sit and type at the computer, and I'd be working on stuff. So I could hit a hotkey, and it would open up Word and increase the font size to like 50, and then he could type, and it would say the letter. So it'd go J when he'd hit them, and then and it would kill all the other nothing else could get activated. And then I had a hotkey when he was done. I could hit it and it would kill that and go back to what I was doing.
That's hilarious. I like that.
He said he's going to look at the
yeah,
mouse.
he says, yeah, he will take a look at that and say thank you.
All right.
You
Well,
could reopen your camera.
I was just so enjoying not being on camera.
That's your
All right,
chance to like scarf down a hot dog real quick when you're off camera.
I've gotten to where I'm like, I just don't care anymore of what, I'll start
About
flossing.
the Joshua Bills guy. Did we talk?
Well,
to him?
he was the one who was talking about the PowerPoint deck, right?
Oh, okay. I had the names backwards. That's right. And the other guy was.
Yeah, so did I. I got.
That's why I was so confused.
So that was part of where I was trying to solve a different problem. Now, did there was still the question about reading from a file, right, into a variable from Brian Bills.
It's actually the same question.
Oh.
It's trying to solve the same issue. When I signed in, it automatically put my middle name, not my first name.
Okay, thank you. That's where I was also at first I thought that they were related, and then I got confused because you didn't necessarily mention a file right away. So anyway, yeah. Cool.
It was just two ways of looking at the same issue where I'm trying to code information back into the form, change the one line of text I need to change before I send it to PowerPoint, if that makes sense. So give me a second. I'll hop on my other computer if you guys are going to be on this for a few minutes.
Or maybe
No problem.
next week
I
if you
was
can
muted
come
there.
back, because we will end maybe shortly.
Yeah.
I had a
Well,
question come up,
yeah, go for it, Tom.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
which, I mean, as far as I know, this shouldn't be something, but the question is from Kuthleach, I think it's pronounced. Is it possible for programs to restrict the ability for a pixel search or similar, so like an image search or OCR probably? Are there any ways around this? As far as I know, like, a program should not be able to block something like that, because an image search or a pixel search is, it's just searching your monitor of what's there. It's kind of like it's taking a screenshot, I guess, in a way, and kind of going like this. Any ways around this possibly? Does that mean you found something, a program where it's not working? Because it might be something
Or
else.
it
Maybe
could be that if a program is running with administrative, run as admin, it could be that the screen sharing will not grab this part of the screen. So maybe it's a situation where you would think that one application does not want, but it's not the application itself. It's the fact that it is running as an administrator.
So it's just
with
not seeing it,
not giving access to the screen capture or the Windows clipping program, screen clipping program, to see this part of the window.
And if you have a program where that's happening, definitely let me know, because that's interesting. I've never ran into a problem. The only problem I've ever had with like a pixel or image search is like, basically video games. And that's just because, Minecraft, the sun's moving. So even though like this thing looks green, there's shaders involved, light involved. So like it might change a little bit, but you can add variations into that to adapt, usually, depending on how harsh the change is. Yeah, if you know the program, definitely throw it into the chat. I'm kind of curious about that because I've never seen something like that before.
Well, it's also though games purposely change the colors, of their, let's say their characters or whatever it is, right, to prevent people from using image scan technology stuff, right? Because then you're suddenly looking for, they changed a couple pixels. Oh, it's no longer exactly what it was before. I know from talking to Jackie where he had a bot doing some stuff that like they were constantly changing the pictures, between, different version releases, but also just on the games. And you got to be very creative in how you're looking for things.
Yeah, a lot of people will put like moving backgrounds, so it's harder. So yeah, definitely with an image search, but with a pixel search, you know, as long as the change isn't too harsh of a change, you can add variations in there. Say like, okay, this is, you know, the hex number for the color, but I'm willing to go 5, you know,
Yeah, it's
shades
fuzziness.
this way or that way. Yeah. He says it's a pullover issue. It seems like pullover or similar programs. I'm not sure what you mean, like by similar, like AHK programs or just macro recorders. I used for a pickle search. Sometimes it resets the color value. That sounds like a bug or something. I'm not sure why it would reset.
Brian is back and he's sharing his screen.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the GUI I created for myself. It's very simple, but what it can do is so good, because if you look down here, I just have to hit new outline. It automatically pulls up output, does everything else. But if I have to do any changes to this for whatever reason, let's say I needed to change my name to something else. I'm not going to do it because it's all for my board members, and I don't want to list out anyone that I doesn't want to get listed. If I change that at all, or if I change the song numbers or anything like that, and I want to easily know what I'm looking at, like find it in the PowerPoint, it's like I normally have about 50 different slides once everything's done and set. I'm wondering if there's an easy way to be able to bring up like the 103. What it actually does is when I hit save, let me try and pull this up for you guys.
I don't know why, but the screen is really blurry. So it's sorry for interrupting you, but it's
yeah, I'm leaning in a little bit here trying to read.
Unfortunately, that's it. My resolution is off. I can't do nothing about that, unfortunately, right now.
all right. Okay.
I only have 720p monitors, and that's what's causing the issue. I don't know. Maybe I can drop the resolution. Maybe that would help. But I normally have about 100 different things, and that's just YouTube, luckily enough. But what I'm trying to do is just figure out a way to repopulate this form, if you would, without having to actually go back through and populate it myself, if that makes sense. Meaning, go back from the file itself.
Well, I would still say that COM object that I mentioned and showed a little bit, but look on the forum for better examples. It can, you know, find text in your PowerPoint deck, you know, and you can tell it to jump to a certain slide. You can tell it to look for, you know, text objects, and I think that's, you know, probably the way I'd be going about it, because the files themselves are, I don't think they're binary, but they're definitely wrapped in some way. So you can't just read it with like a file read and look for the text. It would be pretty jumbled.
Yeah.
So
Office files are XML.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
XML, yeah.
But not straight XML. I mean, you can't just parse it with an XML, you know, parser, right?
Okay.
It's,
if you look, this is what I need to be able to change. Go back in. I don't know if you guys can see it without the fact you guys are saying my resolutions are off. I'm planning getting some new monitors eventually. And then try and draw my resolution, see if that helps you guys out. Does that help?
At least I'm starting to see the pattern there. Can you either share your screen or?
Okay, let me try to put out my screen. Does that help you guys out?
Yeah, I mean, at least now I see the pattern of that text file and then your form.
All my scripting does is it quickly tells that my form creates this document, which then PowerPoint takes this document and creates the actual size roll. And I do this every week, and I'm trying to figure out an easy way to handle that. Because normally I have about 50 different slides once it's all in together.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get the 50 different slides, and I see you have that form. But what am I hearing you right? You update the form, but then you want to use that to update the PowerPoint deck. Is that right?
I want to be able to say, okay, this is the only line I need to change, but I need to change that one line. With these drop-down menus, it creates a brand new, whole new PowerPoint every time I have to change it. I'm trying to figure out if there's an easy way to just change one or two of the elements that have changed on the fly. Or do I really have to go back through and recreate the PowerPoint presentation?
Well, like I said, I mean, you can pretty much automate building of the PowerPoint deck with the COM object, but I don't know. I'd have to, look more specifically with the code you have and what you're doing and what you're trying to update. I just don't know.
Yeah, I would throw it onto that survey as a quick way to hand it off. We can both look. I don't know much about PowerPoint, but I can look at it and try.
Sorry to interrupt, just to say that I'll have to leave.
Okay.
So have a nice weekend. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does anyone else have any other? I got to get back to the chat here.
I've been looking at your chat here and there too, and while you're talking. The mouse click thing, where it's doing that circle thing with your program, he got it fixed. It looked like that was
good.
I knew it was something in the mouse settings because I remember I used to have that and it was so annoying. Yeah, the only thing I had was the guy asking about the pixel search. Pretty much what I was just telling him is the same thing I already said, with just try variations. They're probably doing like shade changes to help prevent against pixel clicks.
Well, especially if it's a game, right?
Yeah, especially. I mean, that's pretty much the place you're going to see it by far the most. Right. And then the other thing too is, just to help with like processing power of it is, search the area. If the pixel that you're looking for is always going to be in the middle of the screen, search there. It's going to be more efficient versus searching.
What we did in Automate My Task, which is the tool that I can demonstrate, but it first it'll use the control to say, hey, only search in these wherever you find these controls. Kind of think of it like the GUI, right? But it's a great way to limit, because those controls are very limited. Often there's not that many. It's not your entire desktop area, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a great way to restrict where you're doing your search.
Yeah, it's going to be more efficient. And if that color somehow pops up somewhere where you don't want it to, because, you know, there's only so many colors. And if you're using variations, you might get false hits in the wrong area where you're like, no, just search this little area. The other thing too, is when it comes to gaming, I feel like 90% of the answers is don't play in full screen because it won't work. And this is to help prevent keyloggers and a little bit of automation. And then run your script as an admin too, because sometimes that helps. But those are the two big ones that I swear solves like 90% of all gaming questions. Is you can't play in full screen. Pretty much that's it. And then the other question that always comes up is control sin doesn't work. You know, I want to be able to do stuff while I'm in, you know, Chrome watching YouTube videos. Most video games, if they're anti-cheat software or whatever is done properly, you're not going to be able to use control sin to prevent stuff like that. So most of the times, unfortunately, you know, for you gamers out there who want to auto farm stuff, hey, I've done it. You got to have the window in focus. Really, the only method around getting around this would be like a virtual desktop and have an AutoHotkey running there. You know, you just got to set that all up and whatnot. That's really the only answer you get. If the programmers did their job on the development side and you can't use the AHK, that means they did a good job.
One thing I did, I remember the person wanted to do something, I think it was in Chrome, and they were sending keystrokes. So the control send didn't work for what we were, I forget what it is what we were doing, but it wouldn't work. And he wanted it to work in the background, you know, basically be able to minimize Chrome entirely. And I'm like, yeah, you know, now that we're sending keystrokes, like you can't do that. What you can do though, is actually make the GUI translucent. And so even though it's still, you know, we can't see it, but AutoHotkey can see it. And so I made the GUI translucent. And even though it's still, to your point, Tom, I couldn't be doing other stuff because I'm using my mouse and doing things, right? But it did allow it to be invisible, basically.
Yeah, I've actually done that with the console in Chrome where I need to inject JavaScript into it while I'm maybe looking at something else. I can still watch a YouTube video because I make it transparent. Even though that window still has the focus, I can still do other stuff. And I could always move it off to the screen or something. But I've done something like that. And it was a nice approach. So you don't have to see it, you know, out the corner of your eye, like running code and errors and stuff that I don't care about. And the reason why a lot of programs will not work with control sin is because they're Electron apps, which we kind of touched base on before. And those are basically websites. They're programs that are websites because they're Chrome. I mean, that's literally what they are. I think, I can't remember. There's some pretty common programs out there. Like I think Discord is technically Chrome in the long run, in simplicity, I guess you would say. And the reason why Chrome is so secure is because when it runs, it doesn't want to accept any type of outside input. You know, it really blocks a lot of that stuff to prevent keyloggers, hacking, that kind of stuff. And even then, each tab, and the joke always is like Chrome eats all your RAM. And the reason why is because if I were to open like 20 pages in Internet Explorer, it's just Internet Explorer running, like one instance. But every tab, even though they're on the same window, each tab you open is almost like you're running Chrome 20 times. That's why if you push Control-Delete, go to your task manager and you have 10 windows open, you'll see 10 Chrome processes running. And it can be annoying. It slows your computer down if you have a bunch of tabs open, but it's a security thing, making it so like if you're on a shady website, it's not able to access the tab that has your bank account information open. But obviously, you know, when it comes to stuff like AutoHotkeys and, you know, writing, you know, applications for Chrome, it can really be limiting. But yeah, Electron, I think that's how it's pronounced. It's just Chrome, which is weird to think about. You know, you're sitting here running a program and it's like, technically it's kind of like I'm running a browser.
Well, I think a lot of applications.
Loggers, really what it is.
Yep. Cool.
You know, these
well,
bots are really annoying.
I got to get going. Does anyone else have anything they're needing right away?
Are you getting bots?
Nope.
I've had 2 bots so far try to post links.
Oh, that's me. I was automating my Nope.
Let's see. Yep, I got nothing. I think I've answered everything.
Well, thanks everyone. That was interesting. And yeah, if was it, I want to say Brian, when you're working through the PowerPoint stuff, if you if you get to the point where you want to send me something, maybe I can take a look at it. But yeah, it sounds like you got an interesting situation.
Do you have PowerPoint? I don't have PowerPoint.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. I would say I can't. I can look at the code, but I wouldn't be able to test anything. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Like we said, check out the survey if you want to ask a question ahead of time so we're prepared, or you just can't watch. Throw it on there every Friday at 11. Different people on every week. Well, Joe's pretty much here every week, so.
Try to.
Bye.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.